Don't move. Turn your fantasy football into reality. Here's CJ.
So how was week 11 for you? Week 11, the best week of the season. But what I want to talk to you about today is trade deadlines. Now, I'm in a number of leagues, as you know, and in most of the leagues, the trade deadline is coming up this week. There were a couple over last week. I'm firmly of the belief that early is better. The longer you leave it, the more you're open to, an evil word in the fantasy business, collusion. Like a team that's down in the bottom saying, hey, my buddy's up top, what the heck? Here, have this guy for nothing. And then everyone starts to get all riled up and upset. And in most leagues, we don't have a veto system. We just have the uproar of the crowd, including, actually, I'll give you an instance that just happened the other day. Taysom Hill right now is a very desirable product in the fantasy football community for playoff time. So just happened that in a 24-hour period, 2 different leagues I was in, he was traded twice. Taysom Hill was traded for a 3rd and a 5th round pick this year. That's not a bad trade. The guy's in the middle of the pack, so the picks are decent. He's an older player. How many more years? It's a dynasty league. That's a decent deal. A little heavy on the Hill side, but that's what you do if you want to win. You want to make deals like that. It's not Justin Jefferson. It's Taysom Hill, and he has his good games and his bad games, so we can live with that. A few hours later, in a different time zone, a different league entirely, not even including the same people, he got traded again. This time, it was for a 6th round pick in 2026 to the 2nd or 3rd place team in the league at the time. Nobody said anything. Now, these trades don't go through automatically. We have a 72-hour waiting period. And most of the time, if I see the trade, I just look at it and push the button and send it through because, everyone's adults and so forth. But when I looked at it and thought, wait a second, 2026, that's not right. And Taysom Hill is basically being just given to a top 3 team for the rest of the season. Arguably one of the top tight ends in the league right now. He's Mr. Everything in New Orleans. It doesn't seem right, but there's nothing we can do. So the 3 commissioners, we always have 3, got together and decided that there's nothing we could do. There's the 72-hour rule, and we'll just let it ride. And hopefully, if somebody says something, we'll deal with it. Otherwise, it is what it is. And then it just went, bingo. One of the guys said, have they paid their dues? Oh, league rule. If you're trading your 24 pick or your 25 pick or your 26 pick, which you can do in the Sleeper app, you have to have paid for the years prior to the pick, both sides of the trade. So that meant in this particular instance, both teams would then have to pay their 2024 dues, which was not a problem. They were going to pay them anyway. The 2025 dues had to be paid, and they both had to pay their 26 dues because the trade involved a pick from 2026. Well, maybe we can get out of this without causing any ruffling any feathers or anything, right? And that was the whole idea of this because we all want to get along. So I just put a note in the chat saying, hey, congratulations on the deal. Just a reminder that league rule is that if you trade a player or a pick from a future year for a player, that both teams have to have their dues paid up to the year of the pick. So please contact so-and-so, who's the guy who runs the money in the league, and make sure you're paid up, and then I'll push the trade through for you instead of waiting the 72-hour period, so you'll be able to use Taysom Hill this weekend, right? Everybody saw it in the chat. You can see little heads down the bottom, boom, 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 like little gophers, right? Nobody said a word, though, except one of the guys said, oh, then cancel the trade because I'm not paying my 2026 dues. Yes. Crisis averted without having to really do anything except enforce your rules. So if you have deadlines early, like week 10 or 11, it forces people to make these decisions before they know who wins the league, while they're still in a playoff race, while they still have a chance to win. So you have less opportunity for deals like that, the collusion that exists and so forth. So if you are in a league, I won't go in a league that doesn't have a trade deadline. I'm in one league where the trade deadline is week 14. It's at the end of the regular season for the playoffs. I don't like that much, but there's nothing I can do about it. Minority vote, kind of thing, right? So I just put up with it. And so far, everyone's good about it because everyone has the same kind of fear that I do. So we don't really have any of those guys in any of our leagues, at least right now. Touch wood. So anyway, the trade deadline in some leagues is over. Some leagues it's this week. But I'll tell you something, if you're in a league where there is no trade deadline or it's late, just keep your eyes on what's going on because there's some pretty shady stuff in the world of fantasy fun football. Some people take this so seriously, and damn well you should. Like and subscribe, and we're going to talk about collusion a little later in the week. So enjoy this, and hopefully week 11 went well for you. Don't trade out of desperation. We'll talk about that later too. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm CJ. Take care.